Namaste, my friends. Somebody suggested that I say namaste at the beginning. It is in Hindu. It is more of a greeting, I think, than it is like a goodbye. So I'll just say namaste at the beginning. And for those that don't know, namaste means the divine in me bows to the divine in you. So it's just something that I don't know. I really like that saying. So namaste. Today we talk about the three little pigs. And I'm just going to dive in and hope that this will just kind of make sense as things unfold. So here we go. Here we go. The three little pigs. So I want you to think about the story of the three little pigs. And when somebody hears the story of the three little pigs, we're going to call that spring. So they have their life, and in spring, new things come to life. New things are reborn in spring. And so in spring, the story of the three little pigs comes. And for the first time, you hear the story of the three little pigs. You hear about the first pig building his house out of straw, the second pig building its house out of twigs, and the third pig building its house out of bricks. And then you hear of the wolf that comes up to the first house and says, little pig, let me come in. And then the pig says, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. And the wolf huffs and puffs, blows the house down, and then consumes the little pig. So that is in the original. In the original Three Little Pigs, the wolf actually consumes the first pigs because their houses were not built stable. So that's spring. And so what happens is that then that story enters summertime. And during summer, remember, if you look at the previous few videos, summer is the season of maintenance. We just maintain things. And so we maintain this story of the three little pigs. We might even tell our friends this story. We may say, hey, I heard this story from my mother about the three little pigs. And one built its house of straw, twigs, bricks, and then the big bad wolf comes, blows the house down, and the other kid then will go tell other kids. But the story is being told and it's being maintained at a very, very literal level. Well, something happens when you get at the end of the summer season, when you get near maintenance, you start to question and you start to prepare for the season of perpetual death, which is autumn. And so the story of the three pigs, it starts to bother you. It's no longer healthy and well and vibrant in your life like summer. It starts to really bug you. You start to think to yourself, wait a minute, pigs can't talk. And you start to think to yourself, wait a minute, pigs have hooves. They don't have opposable thumbs. They can't build houses. Big bad wolves, they just don't have the lung capacity to blow down structures. And you begin to kind of question. And at the end of summer, that maintenance, you go into this perpetual dying of autumn. And the questions that you have simply, there's nothing else to do but just kind of put the story to rest. What else? Are you going to continue to perpetuate a story that just it doesn't match science. It doesn't match your experience of pigs and of wolves. You let it die. Well, something happens, and this is kind of I think the miraculous part about stories and about legends that have endured over decades and centuries and millennia, is the season of rebirth, the season of spring comes along, and all of a sudden the story comes up again. And, you think to yourself, well, I thought that story was ridiculous. And here we are, and I buried that story. It got buried under the blanket of snow, which is the season of death. And now all of a sudden that story's coming back to life. So you begin to look at it because there's something about something that endures that you have to pay attention to and ask, like, why is this still around? And you look at it again. Now, let's just say, just to kind of illustrate the point I'm making, or the cycle I'm pointing out, let's just say that your conclusion then is, okay, I understand why the story is now coming back to me in spring. It's because it's trying to teach me that it is really important what materials you build your house out of. And so you come to this conclusion that the story is trying to teach you that if you are going to build a home, you should have good plans and you should have proper materials, you should use proper tools, and you should build it well. Because when the wolf comes to blow the house down, it needs to be stable and strong. That's great. So you've brought another level to the story, and you maintain that through summer. So you maintain it through summer. The end of summer comes along, and you begin to put the story to rest. You know, you're grown up a little bit more, and you say to yourself, well, yeah, that's a nice story about what materials to build your house out of, but anybody knows that. Anybody knows that, you know, building a house out of straw is not going to be as good as building a house out of bricks. So you put it to rest. You let it die through the season of death, or it's the season of perpetual dying, which is autumn. You bury it under the snow, but it's still, for whatever reason, it's going to come back. And after winter, spring comes back, and all of a sudden, here's this story again. It comes up. It's the story of the three little pigs. You've grown up a little bit. You've lived another year. You've had more experiences. You understand now how sometimes stories are allegories. Sometimes there's a lot of symbolism in stories. And what you do then, for example, you may look at the story of the three little pigs and you may say, oh, this is an allegory. This is a story not literally about three little pigs and a wolf with low lung capacity. This is actually a story about the importance of building your life. And so you've reached this deep level of understanding that this is why the story is lasting, because this is something that I can truly believe in. So when somebody says, is the story of the three little pigs true? You can say, absolutely, it's true. I can tell you it's true because I've noticed that when people build their lives carefully and slowly and take their time, that they're building something enduring. The lesson being, don't make decisions in haste. Don't take shortcuts when it comes to building your life. Do what you need to do so that you have a solid life. That way, when the wolf comes, which is evil personified, or the archetype of evil, when the wolf comes to blow down your life, when evil comes to take down your life, you will have built something enduring. You will have built something that is strong. To me, the strength comes from building a life of integrity and honesty. If you build a life of integrity and honesty, that is something very strong, the idea of truth. And the archetype of evil is not going to be able to blow down a house that is built carefully, built on integrity, truth, the light, we might call it, and a house that has been built taking the time, making good decisions, so on and so forth. So this story, as it evolves through the different seasons of your life, is going to take on deeper and deeper meaning. And because it takes on deeper and deeper meaning with each season, that's what allows the story to endure and mean something. That's why the story does not go away, because it is true. It's a true story. The story of the three little pigs is true simply by what it conveys, simply by the results of the telling of the story. We can say that the three little pigs is true. Namaste, my friends.